Our next guest in the Rock House Magazine interview series is Brennan Miletto. Brennan is the guitarist and vocalist from one of the premier live acts here in Australia, Sisters Dole. Alongside his brother, Bryce and Austin, Sisters Dole have received plaudits locally and also internationally. Welcome, Brennan. How are you today?
Hey, Jock. Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Nice. So how's things going, mate?
Yeah, been good, thanks. Been busy with like work and personal life stuff, as everyone is these days, So, other than that, and obviously you try and fit as much time as you can into the music as well. So, no, it's been great. Yeah,
definitely. We are going to talk about the music quite extensively today, obviously.
Yeah, nice.
Brennan, but I'm glad to say that you do hail from our wonderful state here in WA. Born and raised in Collie, I understand.
Yeah, well, born in Collie, which was amazing. Great town to grow up in. It's one of them towns like it's a small town, so you hear people probably hear stories of Collie and be like, oh, like why, like what, why Collie sort of thing. But that's where we were born and raised. There's nothing much you can do. You can't change where you come from. And I'm proud to say I'm from Collie. It was a beautiful town. And miss it terribly, especially our family back there, because obviously being born and raised there, you grew up with cousins, your aunties, uncles, and your grandparents and stuff like that. So you build a great foundation and memories there. So you always wish you could go back. But I love Collie, and we get back when we can. But obviously with COVID the last few years, it's been a bit of a challenge to get back. I was fortunate enough; I got to go back a couple of times.
Okay.
And actually got not stuck over there, but I decided to stay over there longer because Melbourne was in lockdown. So I got the best of both worlds. I got to spend time with family and friends as well as dodge lockdown over here, which was nice.
So that's what all of that noise was coming from down south, wasn't it? It was stuck over there in Collie.
Yeah.
So, mate, what are your fondest memories of Collie?
Oh, I mean, there's so many to choose from, musically, obviously we had a band room over there, like that dad had converted his shed into like a band room. So that was always, we took that for granted, like when we moved over to Melbourne, more into like suburbia, we went on 5 acres, so obviously we converted a room over here, as you can probably see behind me, is into our band room, but it's right attached to the house, obviously. So, for everyone else in the house, obviously, it does get quite loud, whereas before we could just go up to the shed, close the doors and, play for as long as we want without annoying anyone because it was soundproofed and it was beautiful. But at the time, we kind of just took that for granted. But a lot of memories happened in there. Like we spent a lot of time in there, wrote a lot of the songs in there. And even my first band, like learning how to play in a band as well, like my first band where I was a drummer, that all happened in that room. So a lot of magic's happened in that room in terms of songwriting and just general creativity ideas, So that was probably my biggest memory. Probably my biggest thing I wish we still had over here was like a room we could just go to and crank the music up to 11 without worrying about annoying the neighbors, So
definitely the farm community, mate, makes it much easier when you're playing loud music, but I'm sure your neighbours in Melbourne at the moment love it as well.
We haven't had, actually we had one letter in the mail a while ago, but that was because when we actually play like practice, it's not that loud, like it's pretty good. But when Bryce was editing our demos for the new music, we're just editing them, and like, so he was up till like 11 o'clock at night thumping the sub in the speaker and stuff like that. So I think that's what sort of annoyed people in the end. It wasn't so much the music, because we try to be respectful that way, but
So the letter wasn't a request for Black Mirror to be played more often, was it?
No.
All right. So the three of you formed the band in 2010. What was the main inspiration about the three of you starting the band together?
Like I said, I was in another band, so I kind of was a drummer in that band, and we did some good things. We played the Triple J One Night Stand actually to like 10,000 people. Our song got played on Triple J and stuff like that. So we were sort of heading in the right direction, but we were very young at the time. We were 15. And then our singer unfortunately moved away to Perth, like not far, but from Collie to Perth. So it just kind of put a bit of a wedge between the band. So in that time, obviously, when we would practice, like me and my brothers, Bryce and Austin, we were like, oh, let's jam up the back shed while we can. All the gear was there, like from when my band was up there playing. And So yeah, we would just go up there every now and then, like not seriously. We just go up there and just jam a few songs, or muck around with some terrible originals that we thought were great at the time. And yeah, and obviously Bryce and Austin sing, mainly Bryce at the time because he was a bit older, because Austin was really young when we started. So Bryce would like come with us to my band's gigs, and he would be in the studio with us, and you could see he was just itching to like be a part of a band and want to play music. So Bryce was always a great drummer, like from the get-go, like just naturally gifted. Like we can all play drums, which is pretty cool. Like Austin, me, and Bryce can all play drums because Dad was a drummer. So we kind of grew up with drums in the house, and that was just like our natural sort of progression. So in my first band, I was like a drummer because at that point I couldn't play guitar, I couldn't sing or hold a note to save myself. So I was the drummer. And yeah, and I think that sort of gave me, oh wow, this is fun, like being on stage, actually creating music like without having to like put a CD on and that. So it sort of sparked something in me. And then obviously Bryce following us along sparked something in him. And then so we started jamming, and then we needed a bass player. I always wanted to be guitarist, and we always needed bass. So we got Austin involved, and he, yeah, just took on in leaps and bounds and became a great bass player over the time. And yeah, it just started like mucking around in the back shed really. And then my other band was scheduled to do a show. It was like a 60th birthday for like an icon in the town. It was like his birthday, so he loved music, this old guy. So his name was Criss, and so they got yeah, my dad organized it actually. It was like a venue, and there was over 300 people at this hall, and they had all these iconic bands that he had seen in the time, like sort of got back together and did like a bit of a concert night. And yeah, my band was meant to play that, but unfortunately with scheduling and stuff, it didn't work out. So there was a free spot, so Dad said, "Oh, you've been working hard up in the back shed. You want to jump up and do a couple of songs?" And we're like, "Yeah, all right." And yeah, that was our first sort of gig, I guess you could call it. We weren't called Sisters Dole at that point. We're just like the Miletto brothers, I guess you could say. And yeah, and we got up there, did about eight or nine covers, and we just played, and the response was just overwhelming. And then obviously people in the town got like excited, and we got booked to do a gig at a pub, and then we got booked to do a gig like out at like a mine site to like for the workers out at a mine site, like yeah, and it kind of just sort of kept going from there. And yeah, we sort of became get a love for it, and then yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2012, you released your first album with your brothers, Welcome to the Dollhouse. That would have been just an amazing experience recording and seeing your name on an album and CD. What's your fondest memories from that?
Oh, it was amazing. We won a competition actually, and that's kind of what kept the band going. Like we won a couple of band competitions early on in our career, which kind of it gives you the confidence to go, oh, like, you know, we have something here. So yeah, we won one competition, which allowed us to do a little EP, which was our first sort of experience, but that was sort of more in a home studio like type environment. And yeah, and then when we won this other competition a couple of years later, I think it was, or a year later, yeah, we won recording time in this sort of world-renowned studio up in Perth. Soundbaker was like this amazing studio.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that kind of snowballed the album. We're only going to do like an EP again, like another EP, but because we won, I think it was like 5 days free in the recording studio, we're like, well, we're halfway there, like let's pay extra and do an album. So yeah, obviously the album was I just actually did another interview not long ago, and they were talking about the first album, and yeah, it was never like going to be a #1 selling album, it was never going to be like a worldwide hit, but it was the start of something great. And it kind of, so that's why I always hold something special to my heart, because it was the start of something, you know what I mean? Like we're green, excited, hungry to do anything, you know, and then we're in the studio recording music that we've written. It was very surreal, and you take it for granted when you're young. You're like, yeah, let's get it done, let's go do it and that. But when you actually sit back and think back and go, oh wow, like you never get that time again, like recording your first album, you know, like you can always go into the studio again. But yeah, so obviously, yeah, the songs could have been, you know, better written, better, but it was, you know, we were young. It captured us at a period of time in our life. So it kind of, when I listen to it, I don't listen to it often, but when I do listen to it, I'm like, geez, it takes you back like to like and brings you back to when you wrote, because back then I was the oldest, so I kind of did most of the writing at the time lyrically, and so yeah, it kind of takes you back to their memories and why you wrote that song, and oh yeah, that I remember that, what that was written about or whatever. So yeah, it was a good time. Yeah.
Brennan, don't undersell yourself. That CD still has heavy rotation here at the Patterson household.
Oh, beautiful.
Love Isabella, and a lot of the tracks from that first album still featuring your live set. So fantastic to see that debut come out.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
From there, though, you guys don't like going on slow speed. You packed everything up and moved to Melbourne in 2014.
Yeah, we did. We knew we'd have to get out of, and this is nothing against WA, but we just knew we'd have to get out of WA and go to sort of where the masses were, because WA, it's a lot smaller. We're a little bit more isolated over there. We've always classed WA as home, and we love getting back there. But yeah, unfortunately, to take this, it's kind of like anything. You got to take the next steps to sort of, and then Melbourne, we're here and now. Like you're kind of at that point where it's like, geez, do we take the next step and go to the States or Europe or something to see where we can take it the next level? You know what I mean? So it's just about sort of taking them next steps. And so yeah, we had the opportunity to move to Melbourne. We had some cool opportunities arise at the time. And yeah, we decided to make the move as a family, which was very big decision at the time. Like obviously Dad had been in his job for a few years, or like a lot of years. So he was kind of ready for a bit of a change. And yeah, the band sort of was the reason for the move, I guess you could say. But we made the most of it. We've made the move, and we've embraced it as much as we could. And we probably wouldn't have got the opportunities we have had if we hadn't have done that move as well. So yeah, it's been good, but obviously you do miss home. Like I miss home every day, and the boys miss home, and mainly the family. You grew up there, you had more memories there growing up, but obviously you make new memories, and yeah, we're enjoying it over here. It's been great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
you never forget your family or where you come from, mate. But you speak about big opportunities, and there was no greater opportunity than Bruce Kulick giving you the call.
Yeah, and that was as growing up as Kiss fans, and like having like pictures. It's cliche to say, and I never thought I'd ever have to say this, but yeah, like you grow up with them on your walls, and like our band room, like up in WA, like our whole band room was just full of the icons, of that era, like from Kiss to Van Halen, Motley Crue. Like it was all the inspiration. And then all of a sudden, like, yeah, he's walking in the rehearsal room to play with us, and learn to go on a tour with him. Yeah, it was just surreal. Yeah.
How did that happen though? Did you approach him? Bruce approach you?
What happened was, a promoter at the time he was running a Kiss convention. So yeah, the opportunity come obviously to save costs as well. Like for them, obviously to bring a band from the States costs money. So yeah, he kind of gave us the opportunity. He said, hey, if Bruce agrees, would you be willing to play with him, like as his band? Like, well, yeah, if we're good enough, we'll definitely give it a go. So we just chucked ourselves in our rehearsal studio at the time, and head down, bum up, and just worked our asses off to get the material as best known as we could. Like obviously we knew the material like from listening to it, but until you actually go in and start learning the material, it's a whole different ball game. So yeah, we just did everything to 110% to the best of our knowledge, and yeah, we're real professional about it, because obviously you want to kind of, when you walked in the room, you kind of wanted to go, oh, Bruce, but you kind of had to, and you wanted to put your fan hat on, like, hey, can you sign this? Can you do this for us? But no, you had to be professional. So we just like, no, we got the job to do, and we just treated it like any other gig, and just, yeah, and that's why I think Bruce earned our respect. We earned our respect with Bruce because we actually did our homework. And Bruce is very, he's very like, a perfectionist. So like, it wasn't like the couple of rehearsals we did with Bruce. We did 2 before we went and did the show, and yeah, they weren't like there was moments where I was like, wow, you did great there, guys. That was awesome, But then there was moments where I was like, nah, what are you doing there? It wasn't all like.
Okay.
But it taught us a lot, and you had to be like, think off your feet. It was like you were in the pressure cooker. You had to, and just get through it, and we did it. And then yeah, obviously the opportunity come a few years later, and Bruce wanted to use us again, which was amazing. So obviously showing that, yeah, that first time round we were good enough, and him to do it again. So
yeah, well, it must have worked for you, because you joined him in the US for a tour. Is that right?
No, not the US. When he came back to Australia in 2017, we did a full tour. That's where we came to Perth. And we did 10 dates in 10 days. It was literally no day off. It was just like bang, 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 bang. But we got it done, hardly any sleep, and it was fun.
So in between Bruce's tours down here in 2015 and 2017, you joined Australia's Got Talent and made the grand. Kelly Osborne said that you guys were the favourite hair metal band out of the whole competition. Does Kelly still keep in touch, or?
Oh, not really. You know, the TV world's a funny one. Like, we obviously got approached. I knew someone who worked in on that show years prior, and then she was always pushing for us to go on this show. Like, she said, go on and give it a go. And we'd auditioned like early on in the band, like years ago. Like, even when we were in WA, actually, we auditioned, and never got past the next thing. So we're kind of like, oh no, you know, these shows aren't really for a rock band. You know, we didn't bother. But then she sort of approached us. She said, nah, definitely. You know, I've got a producer contact that we're going to get you through. So you won't have to line up. You just go in, do the audition for the producers. And if they like you, you know, it'll be a great experience. I'm like, oh, all right, we'll give it one last go. So we went through. We didn't have to line up and do all that stuff. We just literally went straight through, audition for the producers. They liked us, put us through, and then we're like, okay, like, we'll just take it as it comes. If we'll probably get knocked out straight away, you know, it's just for a bit of fun, you know. But yeah, just kind of snowballed, and we got through the first audition thing for the judges, and then we got through the semi-final, and then it was great. And then at that point, we just sort of milked it, you know what I mean? Like, we're just like, wow, we never thought we'd get this far. And yeah, a lot of people, like peers in the you know, in the industry and stuff, were like, oh, you're just selling out, you are, you're doing that, you know. But it wasn't a case like we'd done the hard work prior to it. So it wasn't like we're just going on that to, you know, become like the next big thing, because we knew that wasn't going to happen. We knew it was going to be still a lot of hard work. And but yeah, we just literally honestly did it thinking we wouldn't get as far as we did. And then next minute we got as far as we did. And yeah, the last thing to do is, like, rather than like bag it and knock it, is embrace it, you know, embrace the free publicity we were getting at the time. You know, we got to play our originals. They didn't tell us how to dress. We dressed it the way we wanted to dress. So it was kind of a no-brainer to sort of keep going and push it as much as we could, because you just don't know who was going to see you. And then obviously from that, things happen. You know, Bryce got a Ludwig endorsement out of it. We got a few gigs supporting, you know, the Angels and bands like that, like throughout the you know, the period of time. And yeah, it was just fun. We built a lot of new fans, more people jumped on board, which was great. And yeah, and obviously it's just another tick to your resume, really, to say, oh, so it kind of gives you a little bit of notoriety with people, you know, because like you could say, oh, yeah, we did this, we did that, but then as soon as you drop, oh, but we'll runners up in Australia's Got Talent, people were like, oh, you must be pretty good then, you know, like just to the general people, you know, in general, you know. So yeah.
And it was good to showcase your own music as well. There's a lot of acts that do go on there and do covers, but you guys had the opportunity to showcase how great your songs are. So fantastic again.
Yeah, no, it was great. Like, who can you say, like, you know, I think they were getting like 1 million viewers, you know, per episode sort of thing. And so there's not many people that could say, oh, yeah, we got to play our originals to that many people, you know. So it was great. And it did help us for the new, like, obviously we went in to record All Doled Up after being on the show. So that sort of helped as well, you know, because it sort of led the people straight off that show to sort of like follow us to see what our new music was going to be like and stuff like that. So it was, yeah, it was just a great experience. And like TV world's such a different thing. We got to live like kings for like, what was it? I think we were 3 weeks up there. They flew us to Sydney. We were living in a hotel. We got a food allowance. So there was really no loss to us at all. It was kind of like, it was just like, yeah, living it up for, you know, 2 weeks in Sydney. Yeah, and just having a ball. It was great. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you do speak about the second album. 2017 was a big year for you. Obviously, we spoke about Bruce coming back and touring with you. But your second album came out in that year as well, All Doled Up, and it's got some fantastic tracks. You know, just thinking Good Day to Be Alive is a crowd chant that happens in your live gig now. Johnny Strut, you know, a classic album as well. Tell me, how did the songwriting process differ from this second album to your first?
The first one was kind of like, we had ideas for the first album of what we wanted to do, like, but yeah, I had had a few songs like Isabella, say Lonely Room. That was sort of like my songs that I'd come up with like in the transition from my first band to like Sisters Dole. So they were sort of, I was leaning them towards more my first band because I thought that was sort of where they were heading. But then we did it as Sisters Dole. And then, yeah, we kind of, I guess the way you could put it is like, the first album was like, first 10 songs we've written, let's put it down on an album, you know what I mean? Like it was that kind of mentality. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we'll do that. That song, Bryce goes, oh, we should call the album Welcome to the Dollhouse. And I was like, all right, we'll have a song called Dollhouse. So it was kind of a bit more like, oh, how would you word it? Sort of like starting the band that way. So sort of had a bit of a concept, you know what I mean? Whereas the second album was kind of a little bit more, obviously we got older, experienced a little bit more in life as well. So, you know, the songwriting became a little bit stronger, but it was still, you know, room for improvement as well. But yeah, the All Dolled Up album is definitely probably, when I think about it, like All Dolled Up was probably really, could have been our first album. Like we could have probably, you know, mixed the two, not together, but we could have probably made one great big album by the two. But the first album, like you said, was kind of special, and you said like a lot of the songs still get played in your household, which is amazing to hear, and a lot of people still love that first album. And yeah, so I think the second album was a step in the right direction. And yeah, the writing process was probably more on the road. Like we would road tested the All Dolled Up album a lot more. Like we were playing a lot of them songs live when we moved to, because when we moved from WA to Melbourne, the first album was already 2 years old. So when we moved to Melbourne, we're like, oh, we need to release new music. Like we got to, you know, people aren't going to care about this album, you know. But our manager at the time said, no, but you got to remember, no one in this side of Australia has really heard your album, like the first album. So we re-released Welcome to the Dollhouse as like, and we had like a few extra tracks, like just live tracks. So we kind of milked Welcome to the Dollhouse up and down the East Coast for like another year or so, or another 2 years really. And then in that time, obviously we didn't want to keep playing the same songs. So we were writing as we went and then chucking them in the set, seeing which ones would get the best response and going, oh yeah, no, that one didn't work tonight. Maybe we'll try this one next. And that kind of gave us the song list for All Dolled Up. And that's sort of how that one came about. It was kind of like, so yeah, by the time All Dolled Up had come out, it was great because most people knew the songs. So it was just like, we've got them on CD now. Now we can crank them in the car, you know? So it was cool. Yeah. Yeah.
2017 rounded out with you joining another former member of KISS, being Peter Criss, for his last two shows ever. Well, what we thought was ever until your recent tour of the States anyway. But again, how did you get in contact with Peter? How did that all come together?
Yeah, similar sort of scenarios. So what happened was the promoter who was doing a KISS convention at the time was bringing Bruce out and another band, Fall by Fate, and then reached out to Peter as well. And he said, yeah, definitely. But he said to them, I'm not bringing my band over. Do you have musicians there that can, you know, make it work? And he was like, yep, we've got some musicians. They played with Bruce not long ago. So then Peter reached out to Bruce and said, hey, I'm coming out. I know you're going over there too. You're playing with this band. You know, will they play with me too? What do they like? You know, what they do. And Bruce just put in, you know, great word for us. And, you know, told him, you know, that we've got what it takes and, you know, not to worry, you know, they'll get it done. And yeah, so we got talking with Peter at that time, like we are now, like Zoom calls before he came over, more so with his musical director, not so much with Peter. It was more his musical director, his wife, Gigi. And yeah, and then we got the song list, and then same thing, head down, bum up. We'll learn in Bruce's set list, and then we'll practice in Peter's, and it was just like alternate between the two. Like, and so it was pretty short notice. Like I think it all happened, like we got told we're playing with Peter in April and he was here in May. So we literally had like a month to just like learn the songs. And Peter's was a little bit more challenging because some of his songs that he had chosen were like from his solo albums and stuff like that. So, you know, it was different to sort of, Yeah. So it was a bit hard, like a little bit different, like because obviously it wasn't just guitar, drums, and bass. You know, there was string parts, there was other parts that we sort had to sort of like figure it out, harmonies, different sort of things. And but it was just the same thing, hard work. We're hard workers. We've never shone away from that, and we'd rather be prepared than not prepared. So we just were, like I said, in this room, the room you see me in now, it was literally blood, sweat, and tears, learning Bruce's set as well as Peter's, and then hoping when they got to Australia, hope for the best that they were happy with us. And yeah, the power at B, like obviously, thank God that when we walked in and they rehearsed with us and everything went smooth, everything went like really well. And yeah, the connection we had with Peter, like we say it all the time, it wasn't forced, it wasn't you know, egos or nothing like that. It was just literally just something connected. Like it just like I can't explain it. He can't explain it, but the connection we've had with them ever since has just been amazing, which then led him to flying us to New York to play his final show, because obviously he didn't want to have to redo everything again with another band. He wanted us. So we were just like, wow, if you want to take us, we'll definitely come, you know, for sure. So yeah.
That's going flat out, right? From 2010 right up to 2017, playing Peter Criss's last farewell concert. That's amazing, in New York of all places.
I know. Like it's bizarre because like we're humble guys. We're still humble now, like because there's still so much more we want to accomplish. But yeah, when you sit back and think, geez, we've done this, we've done that, you kind of like, and you don't really soak it in until you kind of do interviews like this where people sort of rebring history. That's why I like doing these interviews, because you've obviously bringing history back to my head. I'm like, oh wow, we did that. Oh yeah, we did that, and it's like, wow. And then when you think back, like 3 kids from a small town in WA, Collie, to all of a sudden playing New York City, like in the heart of New York City with Peter Criss, it's just, yeah, it's mind-boggling, really.
Exactly. Yeah. So you learnt how to become far more professional with Bruce. What was your biggest learning from Peter?
He was great. Peter was a little bit more, you know, he's a little bit older, obviously, so he's got great music knowledge, but he was a lot more open to sort of like trying things and doing things, you know what I mean? And he sort of would bounce off us as well, which was kind of nice to hear. Like, you know, he did bounce off us a bit, goes, oh, what do you think, Brennan? Or Austin, what do you think? Like, he loves Austin as a bass player. Like he said to Austin, he said, oh, you're such a, like, loves playing with Austin, like thinks Austin's the best bass player he's played with, which was quite cool.
Wow.
And Bruce was the same. Bruce loved playing with Austin as well. Like Austin really, because he was so young, like he's a lot younger, you know, he's older, like, you know, he's in his mid-20s now, but at the time, you know, he was younger, you know, and that was their biggest, you know, worry at the time, was because we were younger. You know, they're used to playing with seasoned musos, and obviously we were just a original band from Australia, you know, and but that was probably the biggest gratification for us as musicians and as a band, because it kind of proved to us and hopefully, that we can play with the best, and you know, we can go to that next level and be on that level with them, which is, you know, as a musician, that's all you want to be classed as a good musician, and you know, on this level par, which is amazing. And that's how Peter and Bruce both made us feel. You know, they didn't treat us like we were little kids, like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You know, they treated us like professional musicians. And I think it came down to the way we did do our homework, because if we were lazy or we didn't learn the songs properly, you know, it would have been a disaster, but we didn't. And we're just lucky, you know. Yeah.
Well, you kept the momentum going on into 2018 as well. And probably in my research, the biggest piece of feedback that I found was your gig opening up for LA Guns at Max Watts. I was actually fortunate enough to be there, and that's what I meant. I become a fanboy after experiencing you guys for the first time. But
oh wow, that's cool.
You blew the crowd off the stage. I don't know how many people were experiencing you guys for the first time opening for LA Guns, but it was a fantastic gig, and that's where I become part of the Dole army. So
that's cool. Yeah, no, that was a great gig. But that, like I said, we weren't meant to be on that tour. But what happened was we did a gig at the same venue a week before, or 2 weeks before LA Guns were meant to be scheduled there. And the promoter of the LA Guns show was there. And then next minute, he rang us like the Monday and said, hey, do you want to jump on the bill for LA Guns? And we're like, yeah, of course. So with a week's notice. It didn't bother us because we knew we were going to go do our originals. But yeah, obviously it wasn't advertised that we were playing. So yeah, it was like literally last minute. So we came on right before LA Guns. And I think a lot of people in the audience were like, oh, what's going on? You know, like there's another band sort of thing. And yeah, we did. It was like a lot of people in the audience hadn't seen us before. Like you were one of them, obviously. And there was a lot of people that hadn't seen us. But yeah, we always go out and give 110 no matter what, whatever gig it is. But sometimes when you're supporting the bigger acts, you know, like you do kind of, there's something that comes, I think all three of us, and I think every musician can say this, you know, when it is a bigger gig, you kind of, you find this extra energy that you kind of don't know that's there. And so you kind of put that in and you know, like, and yeah, that show just kind of went well. And obviously, Tracy Guns, I don't know if you saw that, but he was on stage watching us at one point. Like
he was, yeah.
So you kind of look over and you're like, oh, and he's digging it. So that kind of gives you another bit of adrenaline. And yeah, it was yeah, good gig. And like I said, I think we won a few fans over that night, like you being one of them, which is awesome. So yeah.
Definitely. No, an absolute fantastic gig, mate.
Thanks.
You then returned to TV and become judges on All Together Now. How was that experience? Was it much different being on the other side and mentoring young bands and artists versus being scrutinized on the other side?
Yeah, that was same thing. We just took that opportunity as well. That actually led from being on Australia's Got Talent. The producers loved working with us on Australia's Got Talent because of, yeah, just, I guess, like I said, we don't have any egos. We're real easy to work with. Like they say, oh, we need you to be here at this time. We're there at that time, you know. So we were very professional in that way. So when this opportunity come, they needed 100 judges, and obviously they wanted different, you know, different personalities for the TV show to make it interesting. So we randomly got an email one day from the guy, and we knew who he was because obviously from Australia's Got Talent, and we're like, oh, but he was like, I want to be judges, and we're kind of like, judges, like, what's this like? Well, we're not really like at that level to be sort of like on a major TV show given like, you know, and he goes, no. He said, there's going to be 100, and trust me, you'll be great for it. Like, we want all three of you. You've got a great look, great personalities, and we want you on this show. And we're like, awesome. So it was so much easier than being on Australia's Got Talent because we literally flew up to Sydney, same deal. We were there for 10 days. They filmed it all in 10 days. And yeah, they looked after us with food. We got paid, not a huge amount of money, but they paid everyone on there, obviously, because obviously
wow,
you were working for them. And yeah, it was easy. We just got dressed up every day and sat and watched and gave our opinions on people. And at the end of the day, we knew we weren't going to go in there and think we were like, you know, oh, we know everything we're talking about. You know, we just judged people on how we would judge them, you know, if they asked for our opinion. And literally that's how it was, and try and be positive to people, because at the end of the day, getting up on stage, it's not easy for some people. Some people make it look easy, but it's still, it is a hard thing to do, you know, especially confidence wise. So our motto was like, if we're going to give a bit of criticism, like give it in a positive way. And yeah, for some reason we got a lot of airtime. Like same thing, we didn't know what to expect, but I think having the three of us sitting together, it was good. They could get all three of us in the one shot. And so yeah. I think we got featured on every episode, which was amazing. So we got a lot of airtime compared to a lot of the people, which was nice. So and same deal again, it was just another way of promoting the band. We got paid to do it, so there was kind of no loss, really. Like, yeah,
even better. Even better.
That's it. Yeah.
So in reflecting on your time as a judge and providing guidance or being a mentor on that show, what's the best bit of advice you can give to a young aspiring band today?
Love what you do, because it's not easy. Like, it isn't. Like, people think, oh yeah, I've been a band, but you got to be professional if you want to take it to the next level. Like, we wouldn't have got the opportunities we've had, like with Peter Criss and Bruce Kulick, and, you know, supporting LA Guns and other bands like that, if you're not, you know, professional at what you do. You know, people want to work with people who are going to be, you know, easy to work with, no egos. And that's the advice I can give, is just be true to yourself. Don't let your head get too big for your boots, and yeah, stay grounded, but love what you do. If you don't love it, you know, and you don't, you know, there's no reason to get into music if you don't love it, because
no.
You know, it takes a lot of hard work for a lot of little return in terms of, you know, like financially, I guess you could put it. And not that it's all about making money, but I think, yeah, people that think it's, yeah, you're getting into it to make money and become a rock star and, have the big fun lifestyle. It's not the case anymore. Like the music world's changed a lot. You don't make money on CDs anymore.
No.
You make money on touring and going out and doing the hard work, selling merchandise. So, unless your song, becomes a #1 hit that you wrote in your bedroom, great, that's awesome. Like, I take my hat off to anyone that can do that. That's awesome. But if you're going to be a solid band, you got to get out and travel. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. But my advice would be, if you don't love it, don't do it. But if you love it, it's definitely a lot of fun, and it keeps you going. It definitely kept me going all these years. So yeah.
I do recall Gene Simmons at a lecture tour that I attended once. He said, life's success is understanding what your passion is, and then finding a career which matches that passion, because you'll never hate going to work. And that's
exactly right.
So that's great advice.
Yep.
You also speak about #1 tunes that are written in the back of the bedroom, mate. You and the boys achieved that with the release of Black Mirror in 2019. You hit the #1 spot on the iTunes rock chart. How does it feel to get that #1 status?
Oh, that was great. That was good. I mean, I don't know what #1 on iTunes means anymore. Like, obviously didn't make it worldwide, but it was amazing to just say, yeah, it got to #1, like, it goes to show we've got enough fans out there who believe in us to sort of buy our music and want to get us to that point. And that's the thing with our fans. Like, that's what we really worked on over the years, is really making our fan base feel like they're a part of something, and they do. And that's what sort of, so people would buy, like, they were buying the Black Mirror twice on different accounts or whatever, just to get it over the line, you know what I mean? So they definitely go above and beyond, which is amazing. And I think because we hadn't released music for a little while, it'd been 2 years, and then we just drop a single, it was kind of like, oh, they finally got new music out. Cool. Like, and yeah, it kind of was good for us to know, oh, people still want to hear new stuff of us, So we can't wait to release new stuff, because the new stuff's even better in our opinion. So exciting. Yeah.
We are going to talk about your new stuff very soon, but just following on from the Black Mirror single, COVID hit the world, unfortunately. Had a massive impact on us all. But for you guys, what did COVID mean to you?
Well, honestly, I was one of them ones at the start of it all saying, oh, it'll be a couple of months, we'll be right, I know a lot of people were in that situation, and I had a partner who was living in WA at the time, and she was worried. She was like, oh, we're not going to see each other. I said, no, don't be stupid. It'll work out. They're not going to lock us down forever. But I was really wrong. And I guess the fortunate thing for us, I said to the boys, I said, we'll living at home still. We're still all in the same house. And I said, geez, we've got it lucky compared to other bands. Like, other bands would be itching to be playing, or getting in a rehearsal studio together and stuff. I said, if we don't do anything in this time that we've got, we're going to be a waste. Like, we've wasted like 2 years of our life, or of the band's career, when we could have been doing stuff, And I said, we got to do something. So we got into our studio and we were just writing demos. We went and bought, luckily prior to it all, we went and bought like studio equipment, and like not great studio equipment, like, but good enough to get solid, like, demos down. And we were just fortunate enough that worked out. And then, we got in the room and we just demo. We ended up coming up with 34 new songs and demos. And so in that time, we're sending them to a producer that we're sort of working with at the moment, Ricky Ray, out at Light Hill Studios, which is literally on the other side of Melbourne. So we couldn't even go out and start recording our album, because obviously we had a 5-kilometre radius distance. And so we were liaising with him, and he was like, just keep writing. And he said, the more you write, the more we've got to work with to pick the best, the best 10 or 12. And so we're like, all right, because we recorded 12. I'm like, hey, Ricky, here's 12 songs. We're ready to go, sort of thing. He goes, awesome, but we can't do anything now. So keep writing. Because he said, you just never know what you'll come up with in this time. And we're like, all right. So he kind of pushed us to just keep writing and demoing. So we did that. And that's kind of how our time was spent during COVID and lockdown. So we're very fortunate. Like, every night we're just in here smashing them out, and coming up with ideas, writing together, which was nice, because we don't always normally do that. And it was just a good experience, even though the world was pretty miserable at that time. It was still good we would never have, like, I can't tell you the last time we recorded a song now since the world's opened up, because just finding time from everyone's like lives, it is hard. So if we never had that time, we would never have demoed 30 odd songs and
Wow.
probably not have a killer album coming soon. So yeah.
Looking forward to that killer album, mate. Do tell us about that killer album. What can us fans in the Dole Army expect from this album?
Oh, it's definitely, without giving too much away, it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's a little bit edgier, a little bit heavier, I guess you could say, but it's still got that classic Sisters Dole sound to it. Like you'll know it's us when you hear it, but it definitely does have a different sound, a little bit rawer, I guess you could say. The drums are a little bit more, you know, you can feel the drums a little bit more. They're not so, we're not sort of so like All Dolled Up to us was a little bit more 80s sounding, I guess. It was sort of it sounded very 80s. I had like big harmonies, and which is what we were going for at the time. You know, it had like solid drums and everything. And whereas this one still got harmonies, it's still got the solid drums, but it's hard to explain, but it's definitely gonna hopefully turn some heads and excite a lot of people, and hopefully get a few more Dole Army members on board.
When can we expect to hear some of these tracks, mate?
Definitely. Well, the film clip's done for one, and but we're just in the midst of talking to a few labels at the moment. So before we go release independently, we kind of wanted to just see what the labels thought of it, sort of thing, to see if they want to push it out so they can get it out to more people than we can on our own. So that's kind of where we're at. So that's why it's kind of delayed it a little bit. But we're hoping, yeah, by August, late August, there'll be the first single will be out. So yeah.
Not far at all. That's
Not
fantastic.
far at all. No, yeah.
Mate, in the spirit of keeping the band busy, you've just went and embarked on a US tour. You're back home from it now, but just looking at some of these dates, mate, and some of the names that you played at, the Whiskey A Go Go, Count Vamps, the Viper Room. What's it like to be playing in those legendary places, mate? That's like a bucket list to go visit them, but you guys played at them.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing experience. We'd been to the States in 2012, so we got to play the Whiskey at that time. We played the Whiskey twice then, so that kind of, but you know, you're younger, you kind of don't really soak it in as much. You know, you're kind of like, oh yeah, cool, we played the Whiskey, whatever. Whereas this time you're a bit older, we're a little bit wiser. So, and you know, we are getting older at the end of the day as well. So you kind of don't take these opportunities for granted. You know what I mean? Especially since COVID as well. Like COVID, one thing that, if anything, it made us all realize, like not just us, but I'm guessing you're the same, and everyone in the world, like not to take life for granted, because it got taken away from us for you know, a lot of time. We were stuck in our houses. So to actually get out and go to a different country and perform again, it was like, wow, this is amazing. And we obviously got the opportunity to play Creatures Fest, which then spawned us to do as many shows as we could, because we thought, well, we're not going all that way to do one show at Creatures Fest, even though it was going to be amazing. We thought, let's jam as much as we can into the 3 weeks while we're there. And we did exactly that. Like it was bang, bang, bang. Like we didn't get much sleep. It was just like go, go, go. But yeah, we got back and we sort of got itchy feet. We want to go back again. And yeah, it was amazing to just sort of, and we met a lot more people this time because we were older, and not that, you know, it was about drinking, because we don't drink much, but we could actually go out to these bars after playing and mingle with people and talk to people and sort of build a foundation there, and get some more friends over there. So then at least when we go back again, it makes it a little bit easier. You know, you've got people to call on and say, hey, we're coming back. And, you know, so that was good. And obviously with the power of social media, you've been able to keep in touch with them people since we have been back. So they're all hanging out for us to go back again. So
that's fantastic. It's interesting. Since your tour of the US, there's a lot of people that actually post on your Facebook page from the US playing the CDs and having a beer in the background. So you obviously won a lot of new fans over there. But interestingly, for people who don't follow your social media, please go onto Facebook and follow Sisters Dole, because there's some great video logs on there as well. The one that really caught my attention was your rider. What is the classic Sisters Dole rider when you go on tour?
Oh, honestly, we are that laid back. That's why I made the joke on the thing of that classic Sisters Dole rider, because most places we go to, you're lucky to get a bottle of water, you know. So, and because it was empty, and yeah, we you know, like some of it, like Count Vamp, I want to give them a shout out, because they were amazing. Like they actually had like a bar staff look after us the whole time. Like one girl at the bar staff, she was like ready, like as soon as we got off stage, she was, oh no, before we got on stage, she was like, do you want to order dinner now? And we're like, no, we'll probably eat after if that's cool. And she goes, yeah, I'll come back. So we played, and then literally as soon as we're off stage, we're like in the band room. She's there with like a little notepad, and we're like, she goes, "What do you want?" And we're like, "Oh, really? Okay." So we ordered like it depends. Like, you know, some venues and some promoters will, you know, go all out and look after you a lot, and others, not that they don't look after you, but they kind of, you know, it's up to you to sort of sort yourself out. So
Yeah, okay.
you know, like we're generally pretty basic. Like our rider, like if someone asks for a rider, we're generally like, you know, one case of beer maybe for after the show, water, and maybe some soft drink. And if they're willing to give us like food, you know, we're pretty basic with that. You know, it's just burgers and chips or pizza or whatever, you know, like but yeah, I'll give Count Vamp definitely a shout out, because that venue, they were very accommodating. Like they went above and beyond. Like even we went backstage and there was just like a row of water, a row of alcohol, and then a fridge full of other things that you could have. There was towels, like, you know, if you got sweaty off stage, and the backstage was clean and nice and smelt nice, you know. So yeah, give them a shout out, because they were definitely treat the bands with respect, and the staff were just great there the whole night, which was amazing.
That's really good to hear. And the Count being a muso himself, did he pass on any advice on to you?
Yeah, he wasn't there, unfortunately, but his wife was there, so we got to meet her. She loved us, and she goes, "Oh," because what happened is that one we kind of got added late, so we kind of just got tacked on a night, like, so we're on quite early. There was a decent crowd, but nothing major. So she was like, "Next time you come back, we know who you are, we know what you're about now. Like,
awesome.
We're going to give you a better slot next time." We're like, "Oh, beautiful," because obviously, for Americans, you know, all they can go on is by what you send them, like via social media, you know. So, you know, it'd be like anywhere, you know. Some people are like, "Oh, what are they like?" You know, one, they're not going to pull any numbers because they're not from here. Two, are they good? You know, so once we proved ourselves, even to the whiskey and other places like that, you know, hopefully now when we go back, we'll be able to, get better time slots, get better, you know, better gigs, which is amazing. So
cool.
Yeah.
Mate, a busy year coming up. You've got the new album coming out. What's next for you and Sisters Dole?
Definitely the new album's the main priority. Like I said, we had a chat to a label the other day and another label as well. So we've got two labels that are interested. And so we're just seeing where the road takes us. Peter Criss is hinting, nothing's locked in stone, but he's hinting to do a few more shows maybe. Like, so
wow.
That is on the cards. Like I said, nothing's locked in, but we want to try and hit places, as many places as we can, especially with this album. We just don't want it to sit on the shelf, you know. We want to release it, and we obviously want to promote the hell out of it in Australia first. Then we would love to go to Japan, Europe, America, and do as much as we can in that time. But I think we're not going to just drop the album at once. We're going to do singles, so there'll be a lot of music coming out over the months leading up to the album being dropped next year. So yeah, we're very excited, looking forward to that.
Mate, looking forward to that indeed. So for the fans out there, check out the website sistersdoleband.com.au. You'll find their past releases, a lot of merch, and hopefully that new album very soon. Look out.
Yeah.
Brennan, one final question. What's your message for the Dole Army here in Australia and across the world?
Just keep supporting us, because you know, we're a band that delivers a high energy show all the time. We give you 110% all the time, and we honestly couldn't do it without the support from you guys. So Dole Army, you guys are number one, and we've got belief in ourselves, and I know you've got belief in us. And I think with this new album, we can try and take on the world a little bit more, and hopefully reach the goals that you want us to reach and that we want to reach. So yeah, thanks guys for the continued support. Even you, Jock, you saw us at one gig and we won you over. So that's what we try to do. Every gig we do, we're like, we want to win people over, and that's what America was for us. We knew a lot of the people in the audience, probably 99% of them didn't know who we were or what we were. And that's what gave us the fire inside to go, let's go out and kick ass, because we want to win these people over. And that's what it's about for us. It always has been. Performing on stage is what we love, and we'll continue to do that while the fire is still burning inside all three of us. So yeah.
Mate, look, that's awesome to hear. I know that you'll reach those goals with the passion that you guys have. You'll get there quite easily.
Oh, thanks. We've been doing it a long time, so hopefully, yeah, the next tier up we'll get to, hopefully, with this new album.
Yeah. Well, Brennan, thank you so much on behalf of Rockhouse Mag for your time. This has really been an insightful interview. As I mentioned, wish you all the best and look forward to the new album.
No, thanks, Jock, and thanks for doing the interview. I really appreciate it. I love doing it, and I'm glad that you invited me to do this. It's been awesome. So thank you.
Thanks, Brennan. Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
Okay.